I think so. Damn. I locked it.
I don't see anything.
Oh.
Wait. You pressed it.
Yeah, that was me.
Here, it's picking fuel up for sure. Okay. Try again. That's interesting though. You think it's half? I think it's half 85.
I forgot it does that. Ready?
Yeah, try again. What's up? Hey Viet, how many quarts you got in there?
Not even one yet.
Not even one.
Yeah.
All right, we're just beginning, folks. When you're doing the first oil change, that means progress is happening. You've just seen it. The engine has started. It has run. We've done the 20-minute cam break-in thing. First oil change in the books. There it is, right there. It's happening as I speak. Progress is now happening quickly. So the engine, it's in, it's together, it runs, everything, electrical works, the fans come on, everything is checked out. Yeah, this is the point where things get really exciting. So, as we're putting the oil in, change the oil for the first time, we're about to bleed the brakes so that the brakes work, and then this thing's getting loaded up on the trailer, and we're headed to the dyno today. And so, yeah, now we find out. Now we find out what the engine's going to do, how the engine's going to work, where the power comes on, how much power we make. All the questions that we have are probably the same ones that you have, but it's exciting that we're finally to this point. And the really cool thing is, like, Aero is on the way. I've been working with the guys at Varus, and I think it's shipping out today. So we're actually getting close. It feels like we're really making some big strides here now, finally, in these final stages. So let's get this thing all buttoned up. Let's get it loaded into the trailer, and let's see what happens on the dyno.
You gotta say the magic words.
Say the words.
That ain't going nowhere.
Hell yeah.
I hit a wall because I was waiting on connectors to come in and all that. And then, so...
I'm just like, what the f is going on here?
Yeah, you're showing me the...
What? That's
Dude, I like how you
hilarious.
do that, honestly. That's like... It's good. Yeah. Dude.
sensor, you know, it didn't seem to be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we only have 2-inch intercooler piping and then stock manifolds.
Oh,
I'm guessing
yeah.
that the intercooler piping might be more of a limitation than the stock manifold.
Sure. Yeah.
But
Yeah, we might just be hitting a choke point where
Yeah.
it's just like, that's all that fits in this pipe. Are you guys going to go bigger?
well,
You'd have to get a different intercooler core, right? Because of the outlet sizes are set to that.
so the plan is to run this year. We've got to collect data to see what oil temps are like and intake temperatures are like. I've been talking to the guys at PWR, and so then they can build us a more efficient intercooler, but they need to know what the temperatures are like and how much boost pressure we're running so they can say like, okay, this is the core that you need.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dyno Shop today. We're here. It's a nice, brisk morning. It was warm yesterday, though. The numbers really didn't change between the 2 days. Within 2 or 3 horsepower, no matter what the weather conditions were. But this new engine, this car has, we know, if you guys have been watching all the series, new engine, new intercooler, or not new intercooler, new turbo kit.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff did carry over, a lot of the sensors carried over, and that's great because my job not only relies on sensors, but when you have more sensors than most of my cars do, you can look at things that are just going to make you feel good in between pulls. I'll say there was a moment during tuning, I'll show you here, this is the trace of basically a data log, and what I hadn't read there was the dyno pull part, but then afterwards we can see this yellow trace down here. That's the coolant temp sensor. So, you know, you see it do a pull and we're about, right there, it's 191. And after the pull, it looks drastic, but that's only 203 degrees Fahrenheit. But to me, I was like, whoa, look at that rise. What's causing this? With most cars, you just kind of guess like, oh God, I hope there's no head gasket issues, because we're always nervous with new engines, tuning them, breaking them in quickly, things like that. This is a race car. We did an abbreviated break-in on the dyno yesterday. Anyway, one of the cool things we can see here is the coolant pressure, and this is just looking beautiful, this little blue trace. It gets kind of choppy as we're doing the dyno pull, and certainly that's probably the rush of fluid through the crossover pipe is causing that, but we can see oil pressure here. I can zoom in on this, and that's what I did earlier, is we zoom in on this and then it expands on these upper screens. And on this top one, I'm looking at sort of the basic data. This is RPM, vehicle speed, the boost pressure, and my throttle position. And you can see the throttle was 100% the whole time. So sometimes even in scary cars, even when I think I'm wide open throttle, my subconscious will make me lift for a moment. And if I saw something on the graph, I'd want to be able to correlate it to like, wow, I actually was scared on that pull. Maybe the car's straining the straps and I'm getting scared or something. But anyway, that one went great. This second one is some fuel data. We can see my short-term fuel trims are down in the 1% range. There they get a little bit bigger to 3 or 4. But all the trims and the air-fuel ratios are perfect. The wideband is perfect. Here we have oil pressure, crankcase pressure, coolant pressure, and coolant temperature, and that all looks perfect. And then finally at the very bottom, we're looking at injector duty. We are getting a little close on injector duty to being out of injector, but as far as I can tell, everything looks great. The neat thing is that I had to start with a completely new map this year. We just decided that it would be good to, someone is changing some of the wiring, and they had set up the new base map for me with all the stuff, which all seemed to work great. We are still waiting to get the turbo speed sensor working, and that's why I abbreviated this tune to only about 21 pounds. But as soon as we get that in here and see what the wheel speed is, this is one of the new Garrett G series. We're going to probably push it closer to its limit. But since we don't know what the wheel speed of the turbo is right now, I just decided, hey, I'm not going to push it until we get that.
Well, that's because on the Garrett G series turbos, like, they work really well. They have a really high efficiency, but if you spin them too fast, they can come apart.
Yeah, and
so you really need to know how fast it's going.
And once we get that working too, I'd want to see it back. And what I'll do is a really cool thing I've done for other people. I'm using a standard right now boost control sort of protocol, like standard boost control tables and stuff for closed loop boost control. I have a tab for that right here, so we can see that this is my the actual output and the target output for my table here. And again, when I zoom in, I can see how it behaved. And it actually looks, this is showing me boost error, the actual pressure, and the target. The target's in red, the actual pressure's in blue, and then the error's in this little green line, and then yellow is the RPM. But we can see what the short-term trims are doing. It's giving me 0.7% of one duty cycle to try to correct it, but it's pretty darn close to its target. And this is normal, all of this stuff. We have tons of tables for setting up the PID control for it, but something we don't have connected yet is the turbo speed sensor. And not only can we make that, we can leave this the way it is and make that a fail-safe where it says like, hey, if the wheel speed gets super high, start lowering the target pressure and start lowering the duties and keep that in check. Mm-hmm. We can get pretty drastic with that. And if it starts to ramp up quickly, we can get aggressive by holding the turbo down. And my fear with that is that as we go up in altitude from whatever, like 9,000 feet to 14,000, yeah, it's going to be spinning a lot faster to make the same boost. So we're going to need to do that. It's also possible that we could just target the most efficient wheel speed for that turbo the whole time and just scrap this once we get that sensor, put the car back on the dyno, and completely tune it off the wheel speed of the turbo, not even worrying about what kind of boost it's making or anything. Well, I wouldn't say not worrying. We could compare it to this type of tuning and say, hey, look, when we target the optimal pressure ratio or the optimal turbo speed, does that work better than this? But also we can use that as just a fail-safe to control the turbo if it starts spinning too fast. And I've done that successfully before. I have several customers that live in the mountains or live on the other side of the mountains. So when they leave a dyno session, they don't want their turbo to blow up driving home.
Yeah, when you say the other side of the mountains, that's over Vail Pass, which is 10,000 feet.
Yeah.
So like there's some decent high altitude comparison.
Oh yeah, and they're yeah. What is it? What is Vail Pass?
I think
is
it's
it
10,000.
10,000, yeah.
10,400, something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty high. Yeah. So we want to keep these turbos alive. These are great quick spooling turbos. This beat a stock location turbo and spool up from last year. We did arrive at 472 today on the power at only 20 pounds of boost. So let's
talk about that. Let's think about the difference here in just engine and turbo package. So we started with basically a stock sharp block, stock head, stock hams, and stock location turbo that was basically a Garrett G3071 based on.
Yes, yeah.
And so now we have a D-stroked engine, so it's now making only 2.3 liters of displacement with this G3770 on it.
Oh yeah.
But we have bigger cams now.
Uh-huh.
And so with that, like usually you'd think like reducing the displacement, putting on a bigger turbo, bigger cams, that the spool up would be later.
Yeah.
But you're saying it actually came on the same
time? It came on about the same time, if not a little earlier. Okay. In fact, I'll pull up last year's to overlay it with this one really quickly. So last year we can see it had a torque spike that was it made about 20, 30 pound-feet of torque more at the same boost level. And that could fully be explained by that. Also, it could also be explained by Garrett's 3071 wheel being more efficient at that speed than this turbo is. This turbo is obviously, we can see it was most efficient back here. In fact, the power number was the peak, was at 5,000 RPMs last year. And I'm sure he was racing it up here at 7,000. But this year we have these white lines, and this is the horsepower here. So just in that one location, if we were to graph, or we were to just take a reading of where we're hitting the 472 horsepower, it was only 399. So he's going to have 70 horsepower more at 6,300 RPMs. And actually, the RPMs are a little off, so that's like 65, 66, 100 RPMs in reality.
Way different top end.
Yeah.
Which is what we were going for, knowing that we were spending a lot of time in the upper RPM range. And we extended the RPM that we were spinning the engine to this now because we have the 2.3 versus the 2.5.
Yeah.
So I think the last pull we were going to what, 7,700 RPMs?
Yeah, 7,700.
And we were seeing oil pressure dropping a little bit, especially once oil temperatures got hot, towards about 7,000 RPMs with the original engine. Now we're seeing consistent oil pressures in that RPM range. Everything looks happy up there, and we're now there's enough horsepower up there that now it's going to really pay to stay in the gear longer and go into that higher RPM range.
Yeah, I agree. The other great thing about this is the drivability is going to be much better with road course cars and time attack. You don't want it to get upset by torque spikes. You don't want to upset it mid corner as you shift or anything like that. And if we look here, this is a very flat torque curve, much flatter than last year. And last year it was spikier with more torque and then less torque. Now it's flat, so the car is going to physically not only feel better, but the tires will say, hey, our braking coefficient of friction is happier because you're not shifting and seeing this torque spike, and then when you're actually running out the gear, you're no longer losing that torque. You're maintaining it much longer. So I think this is a win-win for everything as far as road course, yeah.
And this is only 20 pounds of boost.
Yeah.
So we're like barely starting to get into where the turbo's starting to like work a little bit to make some boost pressure. So really efficient. And we're going to tinker with fuel pressure a little bit and see if we can maybe add a few PSI of boost and see what that then brings to the table in terms of power too.
Yeah.
So this is just the beginning. We're not done yet, but this is, engine is now running, it's broken in, and the result, this is the result that we were hoping for with the smaller displacement engine and this turbo. And we've now got access to all these higher RPMs, and now we just have to fine tune it and get some of the electronics sorted out so we've got all the sensor data that we need, and then we can like really fine tune it and see where the engine is ultimately going to land power-wise and torque-wise.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll say I really devoted myself yesterday and this morning to getting everything right and playing with cam timing as much as I could, playing with timing as much as I could, playing with different air-fuel ratios. Anything I could do to gain power anywhere, I played with, but I had some limits because of the missing sensor of not going over a certain boost level.
Right.
So I will say that with this particular setup, this is the best I can do right now.
So once we know how fast the turbo is spinning, we probably have a little bit more of a ceiling that we can start to get into, though we've got to have the fueling to match.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I want to see this again. Yeah, we also did. Yeah, we want to raise. I think the choice for me would be to raise fuel pressure. A lot of people would say, "Oh, I need to go out and buy ID 1700s." My fear in that is that the idle would get worse. We don't really care about idle on this car, though. An ID 1700 would be a more relaxed fuel pressure system. Like your fuel pump would be happier to run the 1700s. But if this was a street car, I would say, hey, don't do this, please, because with street cars, we can't turn off misfire codes now, and the 1700s are so hard on a stock computer to get to not misfire that it would be a bad idea, and it would be a better idea to stick with the 1300s, but with the idea in mind that we can idle at 1500 or 2000 if we need to, that we don't care about a couple misfires at idle. The 1700s might actually be a better plan, because then you also would have not just the headroom to push harder, we would have the headroom that if the boost control line were to somehow fail, which it can't because he made AN4 boost control lines with braided hose, there's no way that'll fail. But if it did, we would have the fuel to deal with it.
Well, the other aspect here is we're not going for max power. We want, because we know that we're going to be going up to 9,000 feet all the way up to 14,000 feet. In a lot of ways, making this much power and having this much usable power at 20, 21 pounds of boost, this is kind of the sweet spot. And really what we want to do is just to try and see if we can get to this power level at 9,000 feet once we actually get on the mountain. Because if we can make, in this ballpark of power, we're way beyond what we had last year. But we're not stressing the engine nearly as much. And so that's going to keep the temperatures down, coolant temp, oil temps, all of these things, keep the reliability up. and it's going to make the car more drivable. So those are, because of the environment that this car is going into, that's kind of the juggle that we have. It's like,
Sure.
do we really want to push harder, or are we okay just kind of like really fine-tuning where we're at to try and keep the reliability up, knowing that we're really just kind of scratching the surface with the turbo?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, with the wheel speed sensor, my ultimate goal would be to hold this boost, hold a good wheel speed all the way to 14,000 feet. That would be amazing.
And that's why that's the wheel speed sensor. Like here, it's important, but when we get up to the mountain, it's going to be critical.
Yeah, yeah.
So like that's really going to be the deciding factor.
Yeah.
Once we get to elevation, because we don't know exactly what this turbo on this engine is going to do up there. We might actually even have to tamp it down a little bit.
Yeah, as we go up the mountain.
We'll just have to see.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want it to be as fast as it can be at every point on the mountain? That's kind of the goal.
That is the goal, but you got to do it reliably.
Yeah, so sometimes, that goal means that you have to make it last through everything, and that means that you have to pull power as you go up the mountain. Yeah. But we hope that doesn't mean that with this turbo.
I'm optimistic that it doesn't, just because of like what you're saying, where you've got people that are driving with these G-Series turbos over Vail Pass and stuff, getting really high up in elevation, and these turbos really are happy in that lower air density, and so that's what we're banking on. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, I'll also say I've set up 2 or 3 of these G-Series with wheel speed sensors on standalones on people driving them over the mountains, and I've never had anyone call me yet and say, wow, I was up there and it happened. I saw the boost get pulled down or whatever. Nobody's called to say that.
Well, the other thing is, because I think, I want to say Brandon, when he was one of the first ones that put a G25 on, and was going up there, and like a lot less compressor surge and a lot better boost behavior as he's going up, like under load, going up over the passes. And so like that was like one of the early test cases of like, hey, there really is something to this turbo and the efficiency and how broad its efficiency range is in those conditions.
Yeah, I'd like to see the data.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yes. Got it. Well, testing, fortunately or unfortunately, is not that far away. Still a lot of work to be done. A lot of sensors, electronic stuff to get like finalized and all that. But I mean, it feels, when you figure that, 3-4 weeks ago, we didn't even have the engine in the car. Yeah. Feel way better now than we did then.
Yeah, that Viet guy is working so hard.
He's crushing it, absolutely. Yes. He's sitting right over there, so we heard that. Yes. Cool. Well, Harvey, thanks for getting the car on the dyno. Thanks for giving us this first glimpse into what this car is going to do. We got some work to do, and we're going to come back.
Yeah.
And take another swing of this before we actually start doing some testing here, in like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I love it. So, well, thank you guys for letting me be a part of this again. I'm wearing my jacket from last year.
Yes, you're coming up on the mountain with us again.
I love it. I can't wait.
It's going to be fun. Cool.
It's such a great event. Come see all of us at Pikes Peak as well, before the race, during the race, Fan Fest, all of it. It is really, I didn't realize it would be such a mellow, relaxed place where you can meet your heroes that you wouldn't even imagine that you could talk to. It's like you see all this stuff that's so elite, and then you go here expecting that, and it's none of that. It's just normal people with like racing pickup trucks next to actual world rally champions and Porsche factory race guys and stuff. And there's no tape that you have to cross or anything. You just get to meet everyone. So come on out and see everyone, because it's probably the best racing environment I've ever seen in my life.
Yep, June 22nd. Be there. Back here at the shop. It is now a clear and sunny day. It is Monday. It is now April 28th. 50 days left until Pikes Peak. Here is the latest. The car is back. We got Nigel going through. You might not recognize the car because the wrap is coming off. This is kind of what the car looks like normally, or originally looked like. It's all white. There's the wrap, and then there's the fuel to remove the wrap right next to it, the old Mountain Dew. We got Viet up here cleaning off the intercooler. It's fun.
This is the fun stuff.
Yeah, it's a shame you can't smell this, because it's not good. Not good. Yeah, the car did great on the dyno. We're very excited about that. And Jeremy's here somewhere fixing some of those little last bit of wiring issues. He's got his little workbench here. So yeah, everything is getting buttoned up. Progress is being made. The car did great. Still have to go back to do one last touch-up with Harvey on the dyno, set up the shifting a little bit, but we're close. And then here's the exciting part. I kind of walked past this, but you might have noticed this this big box, that is not a statue. It's not modern art. That is our arrow. So the arrow is here. And that is really exciting. So we're doing a little bit of the touch-up right now, because then next week this car is going out to get the mounts and stuff fabricated for the arrow, and then back to the dyno and testing. So we're really starting to zero in, just a handful of things left, small details, like cleaning up the old intercooler there. And then we're gonna be ready to really take this thing to the track and shake it down. So lots of exciting stuff is happening. It's been an interesting week. It's going to be another interesting week, I'm sure. So thanks so much for your support. Thanks for following along at home. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video to stay up on top of all the developments as we're getting closer and closer to being ready for race week, which is June 16th to the 22nd. And exciting footnote here, if you haven't seen already, the hill climb is going to be broadcast live on television. I think it's Racer Network or Racer TV. For the first time. It's I guess they have a 7-hour block, so no matter where you are, you're probably going to be able to tune in and watch the whole thing, which is really cool. So yeah, check that out, mark it on your calendar, and until next time, stay tuned to Flatirons Tuning.